Hello friends, welcome to S Kumar IAS. So we were studying political science series and we particularly studying Western political thought in that, and we completed till J.S. Mill, and we saw that how the utilitarian ethics give rise to widespread exploitation of the masses and workers in particular. So the condition was very much ripe for the widespread discontent of the workers. And in this prevailing situation, the most famous scholar of Western political thought comes, one who has the largest influence on the masses, although he is called the god who failed. But in these circumstances, just for emancipation of these masses, the Messiah, so called quote unquote Messiah, comes and he gives the famous theory, and the name of the scholar is none other than Karl Marx, and he gives the theory of that is also known as Marxism. He gives the concept of socialism and communism. So in today's class we'll study that. So without much delay, आज की कथा को शुरू करते हैं. So friends, Karl Marx is called the most influential political philosopher of 19th century and of all the times. And no other philosopher had such an impact on the psyche of the masses. Karl Marx is also called as the god that has failed. And he says that, Karl Marx says that, my theory is praxis. What is the meaning of praxis? Praxis means action. Karl Marx says that theory is useless if there is no action. So, my theory will definitely have the element of action. Karl Marx calls his theory as scientific socialism. And Marx says that philosophers have interpreted the world, but what matters is to change it. फ्री का ज्ञान देने से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. That's what Karl Marx was thinking. And he was very much concerned with the exploitation of poor in general and workers in particular. And he wanted to end that exploitation only by revolution. So that's what is time of Karl Marx. So the basic concept in the mind of Marx is that I have to free these workers, poor, and I have to liberate them in a sense. So this is the basic concept in his mind, and now based on this concept, whatever theory fits into that, whatever concept supports this thing, his theory will develop into that. Basically, all the scholars are child of their time, and they built, this is also called ideology, that their end goal is already fixed. They want to achieve some particular thing, and for achieving that thing, they try to build a conceptual framework, so that it supports their agenda, their propaganda. And Karl Marx is no exception. Karl Marx, basically, he says that, as a thinker, he says that workers of the world unite because you have nothing to lose except the chain. And, he says that, you have lost your everything in the hands of capitalist class. So you should unite and you should fight. Okay? And for revolution, he says that he gives concept of the basic structure. He says that capitalist class, they make the basic structure. So and state is just instrument in the hand of bourgeois. Capitalist is called as bourgeois. So you cannot expect the state to work for the interest of the poor. So if state is not working for the interest of the poor, then the workers of the world unite because you have nothing else to lose your chain. That's what the concept of Karl Marx is. Now, let us see Marx as a thinker. Karl Marx as a thinker, uh, he gives ideology of socialism. Socialism basically means he takes perspective from the side of the poor person, and this is nothing but reaction against capitalism. And Marx calls his theory of socialism as scientific socialism. Every scholar is calling itself scientific. Then Marx says that early socialists, they were simply utopians. They actually lacked understanding of capitalism. मार्क्स सेज दैट वो समझे नहीं, कैपिटलिस्ट को अच्छे से समझे नहीं. दे वर काइंड ऑफ बेनेवलेंट. दे वांटेड दैट द कैपिटलिस्ट their heart should change. The capitalist should be, they made appeal to the capitalist that they should change, they should do good for the workers and so on. But Marx says that that's not going to happen. Now he says that this peaceful method of the earlier capitalist, it's not going to work at all. Only the violent means and the revolution can change the things. And Marx, actually we study the two phases of the life of Marx. The first one is young Marx and the second one is mature Marx. The young Marx is more of a philosopher, as the normal youth, every young person, he has some kind of ideas, some kind of idealism, he or she want to change the world and so on. So Marx was no exception. As a young guy, his ideas have sort of philosophical bent, which which aspect of Marx is also represented by the neo-Marxist. The young Marx gave the concept of alienation, and his book of economic and philosophic manuscript. In this book, the concept of alienation is there. Alienation, we'll study it into detail later on. So alienation basically means that this capitalism makes a person alienated at different levels, from the self, from the society, from his labor and so on. And mature Marx was the kind of politician. He gave concept of communist manifesto, and the orthodox, this is represented by the orthodox Marxist, and Soviet communist is the classic example of the ideas of mature Marx. So now let us start with orthodox Marxism, or it is also called political Marxism. Why? Because here Marx wants to acquire the power. That's what the purpose of political Marxism is. Here no philosophy, here hardcore principles to acquire power. As Marx says that there is no birth possible without blood. So here he becomes thirsty for the blood of the capitalist class. Let us see. So in orthodox or political Marxism, there are few basic principles, because any any scholar, if he has to call his theory as scientific, if you have to call it scientific, then you have to build it upon a proper structure. There should be structure for any theory to call it scientific. And Marx does the same. He brings few basic principles. Let us see what are those principles. The first principle is of historical materialism, dialectic materialism, concept of class and class struggle, and then his critique of capitalism, and his theory of revolution, his theory of communism. Basically, this is a standard practice between all the political philosophers, most of the political philosophers, that the most important scholar of that time, suppose he is A, and B wants to give a new theory. So what B has to do is, A is the prevailing or already existing the most important scholar of any school of thought. Now B want to give new and opposite theory or political philosophy, then what he has to do? The B has to defeat this guy. B has to defeat this guy. This is a common sense. The same is done by J.S. Mill. He criticizes patriarcha, and the same thing is done by Karl Marx. We'll see how he does that. Sorry. So, these are the principles Karl Marx uses for building his theories. We'll study these principles into detail. Now, before going to the principles, first of all, let us understand the source of influence in Karl Marx. The first source of influence is French Revolution. The idea of equality and fraternity, these are the concepts which Marx takes into its scientific socialism or communism. The equality and fraternity idea of Marx are he takes these ideas from French Revolution. Then British School of Political Economy. So British School of Political Economy basically criticizes the laissez-faire policies of Adam Smith. And what is this? This is basically free market policies. Free market, or you can say the capitalist policies. So the free market or capitalist policies of laissez-faire, so these are criticized by British School of Political Economy, and he was also influenced by the Ricardo's theory of labor value. So what is the concept of labor value? Labor value is basically the concept that the price of any commodity is proportion to the amount of labor put to produce the particular commodity. So the price should be proportional to the labor to produce that particular commodity. This is the concept of labor value of Ricardo. So Marx was influenced by this concept. Then he was quite, not influenced, we can say, but contrary to influence. The basic, the biggest theory of the time of Karl Marx justifying the state was the theory of Hegel. Hegel was the scholar. His theory sort of defended state at the time of Karl Marx. Now, if Karl Marx has to write a theory, produce a theory against the state, so he has to defeat the biggest guy defending the state, and that guy was Hegel. So that's why criticism of Hegel is also very much part of Karl Marx's work. Then Karl Marx has to reject theories justifying state, and the strongest theory was by Hegel at that time. Then Marx calls Hegel standing on his head, spreading false consciousness. Why? Why he says that? That Hegel is standing on his head and he's spreading the false consciousness. Well, because Hegel says that state is march of God on this earth. Why? Why he says that? Because Hegel says that Hegel says that the state, fulfills almost all the functions like God. He says that for justification of the state, he says that state performs almost all functions like God. So that's why Hegel defends state, and he says that state is march of God. Apart from that, Hegel gives three basic concepts. First one, three laws of, Hegel says that history is nothing but movement of ideas. History is nothing but movement of ideas. That is argument of Hegel. Okay. Hegel says that basically everything is moving as per the ideas of the people, ideas of that particular time. There are few ideas and everything else is shaped by those ideas. Well, Karl Marx has to defeat this guy. So Hegel uses basically three principles for his theory. What are those three principles? He says that these are the three laws of dialectic motion. Dialectics motion means, dialectics we already know. Dialectics was explained by Plato also. So what Plato says is that dialectics basically means that you compare two things. Not comparing in the sense, but you debate two ideas. And by the debate of those ideas, the truth emerges. That is the concept of dialectics. Hegel says these three principles similarly. Hegel says that there are unity of opposites, that different sort of ideas are existing at the same time. So there is unity of opposites, then there is negation of negation. That means the negativity just gets finished with the time. Negativity does not stay. The negative person as destroys himself, the negativity destroys itself. And the third principle is that quantity changes into quality. The change does not happen overnight. Slow changes, and then the quantity becomes so overwhelming that finally the quality changes. So he says that human history is movement of ideas or the universal spirit. So, and what is the basis for that? The basis for state's reflection of God is reason. He says reason, rational is real and real is rational. He says it is so rational that state is acting like God because it is fulfilling all the functions. So that's why state should be accepted as march of God. Hegel basically says that state works in favor of everyone. State is altruistic. As per Hegel, state is universal, state is altruistic. But now Karl Marx defeats this in his own way. Karl Marx says that he gives concept of historical materialism, the first concept of Marx. We study here just the name, historical materialism, dialectic materialism, critique of capitalism, and so on. Here we will study them in little detail. So historical materialism means, he says that it's not our consciousness which determines our existence, but it's our existence which determines our consciousness. Matter and not idea is moving force of history. Hegel is standing on his head when he says the opposite. Karl Marx says that actually the circumstances create, ideas or theories. The matter is real and idea is not real. Hegel says just opposite. He says idea is real and due to ideas the changes are made. Marx says no. Due to the circumstances the different ideas are formed. For example, as per Karl Marx, we'll study it in little detail, so I will explain it there only. Karl Marx says that to think, man has to live. If you want to think something, if you are alive, then only you can think. No. Then to live, you have to eat. If you do not eat, you cannot live. Then to eat, you have to produce. If you do not produce, you cannot eat. That's why the first historical act is production and not thinking. The idea is related to thinking, and the production is led to matter. Matter is production, the material thing. So production is related to matter and the idea is related to thinking. So he says that production comes first, not the thinking. It's not that somebody is thinking something and then everything changes. He says opposite, that because the circumstances are forcing, that's why the man is thinking. First you produce something, then you eat something. And if you eat, then you live, then you think. So he says the opposite. He says manual labor is more important than intellectual labor. So society can live without intellectual labor but not without manual labor. Historical materialism says that production is the reason behind formation of social divisions. Because the production is required, there are different divisions in the society. And that's why there are different divisions of labor. And that's why there is basic structure of the society, and that's why the economic structure is the basic structure. Why economic structure is the basic structure? Because the economic structure leads to production. The production leads to food. The food leads to life, and life leads to thought, idea. So if the economic structure is collapsed, everything will collapse. So he says economic structure is the basic structure. This is the idea given by Karl Marx. He says that reason for high payment to intellectuals, because there is low payment of manual labor. Why? Because intellectuals started from Plato. Only they ruled, only the intellectuals were rulers, and the producers were deprived by the ruling class, and hence the worker should never trust intellectuals. Actually, he is anti-intellectual in a sense, Karl Marx. He says that the worker are always exploited by the intellectuals. The intellectuals are paid high. Why? Because the intellectuals believe that idea leads to matter, or idea is primacy of idea. But for workers, the manual labor is primacy. Manual labor. And Karl Marx says that the intellectuals are simply misleading. The basic structure of the society is the economic structure, and that's why the production is the root cause, not the idea is the root cause. That's how he says. He says that institution of the society is not autonomous, it is interdependent, and economic structure controls the superstructure. Now what is the superstructure? The economic structure, it is controlled by the production, as we already saw. This is basic structure, and the superstructure is family, church, state, education, institutions, media, etc. So he says that basically the basic structure or the economic structure, that is the main structure. All others are superstructure, and that is just controlled by the economic structure. And he says that the institution of superstructure, the state, the media, the church, everything, that is just the reflection of base. He says it is nothing but reflection of the base. And he says that workers cannot expect justice from the state. The only option is revolution, because Hegel spreaded false consciousness. Actually, the state is instrument of capitalist class. He says you cannot expect something good from the state, because state is the instrument of capitalist class. That's why it will always exploit you. In every epoch, the ideas of ruling class were the ruling ideas. The class which controls economic structure also controls the political structure. So Hegel is wrong when he says that God created man. In fact, on the other hand, man created God. I hope that this makes sense to you, that how he just saying 180 degree from Hegel. Completely 180 degree he is saying. Hegel is saying the idea is real, like Plato. Marx is saying matter is real, not idea. Hegel says that God created man, and Marx says that man created God. That is the difference. I hope that you understand the concept of economic structure, the production, the different classes, the antagonistic interest of the different classes, the basic root where idea is real and matter is real. I hope that you understand these concepts very well. Still, if you have any doubt, please do ask in the comment box. I will personally answer. And the features of basic structure, as said by argued by Karl Marx, was that first, means of production, land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, forces of production, technology, power, horses, machine. And he says very interestingly that relations of production, he says that all the social relations are relations of production. He says there is no other relation. There are only two fundamental relations in society. All the social relations are basically comes under these two fundamental relations. What are? The first one is owners or haves that own means of production. The second are non-owners or have-nots, have versus have-not. And the second are not owners of the means of production. The first class is having means of production, and always those who have means of production, they will exploit non-haves, have-nots. Okay, so that's how he presents the society, the view of the society. And he says that the real identity of a man is the economic identity. He puts everywhere economics, that's it. He says real identity is economic identity and identity of the class. Upper class, haves or have nots. And he says that the relation between these two classes are always dialectical and antagonistic. One is exploiter and other is exploited. And he says that if one think I have given more wages, the other think I have done more work. That's what it is. He says that there is always antagonistic relation. The haves source thinks that we have given more wages, but the have-nots thinks that we have done more work and we should get more wages than we are already given. So in that way they are always their interests are opposite, and the relation is always dialectical and antagonistic. I have already explained you the meaning of dialectical, so I think no need to explain that. Now we will study criticism of Karl Marx, and we will study these criticisms in our next lecture. We hope that these videos are definitely adding a value to your civil services preparation, and particularly in political science optional. So if you find them useful, please do like, please subscribe our channel, and please spread them like wildfire. Everybody cannot afford coaching Mondays. So thank you so much for coming to S. Kumar's IAS, and stay connected, work hard.